field. I'm happy to have with me EFT specialist Mrs. Mirat Sukkari. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. And let's start with the concept itself. What is the emotional freedom technique? What is it?
Emotional freedom techniques is about releasing the body from the energetic or imprint of everything that happens to you that is negative. So we need to say a few words about everything that happens to you is sort of registered in the body in a frequency, like a wave.
Yes.
And if it's nice, it's very nice for your body. And if it's not nice, like you're sad or angry or fearful, it's a messy kind of vibration. And if we have a lot of those, then we will start creating some kind of disease.
Yes.
And that's why emotional freedom technique is about releasing those from the body so that your body can be healthy.
Yeah.
It's about releasing the waves or the frequency, like you mentioned, or is it about releasing the issues itself?
Now, the issue is written in the body not as an issue, as it has a frequency.
Yes.
So
this is the translation of
the translation,
sadness, for
yes.
example.
Yes.
So you have the frequency as a translation of sadness.
Yes.
So the technique is working on the frequency or the sadness aspect also too.
It's more, isn't it?
The emotional
like,
or the
the negative energy in an aspect.
It's like, let's say, if you drink Coke, there's Coke in your body.
Yes.
So you need to release that substance or that frequency from your body.
Okay.
So if you have an MRI or a brainwave scan or a heart scan, it is a wave. So
Yes.
everything in the body is a wave.
Is a wave, yes.
So this sadness or fear is actually a wave. What the EFT does is balance that wave to be a nice wave.
Okay.
It brings it back to what is a good wave, like the Nile would
Quite
be a
interesting.
nice wave. But the other would be like this. Maybe
Yes.
a tsunami. Sometimes it's a tsunami.
It looks
You're
like
very angry. So it
Yeah.
looks like this on the machine.
Yeah.
And the body can't handle that.
I remember, because we posted you in one of our programs as well, and many programs actually, that you told me about a scale, but there is a scale to it and that there is a technique for it. So would you tell us about that, please?
The emotion scale, you mean, or
yes,
the technique?
yes.
Yeah, scientists have measured that every emotion has a scale on a what we call the emotion scale.
Yeah.
Because it has a certain vibration.
11,
so it
yeah.
starts from 0 to 1,000.
Yes.
And the nice emotions start from 500 up. But anger, sadness, jealousy, resentment, frustration are between the 0 and let's say 200-300. So this is the area you don't want to be in. And if you're around the 500, which is hard to be, 500 is love. There's better than love, like gratitude is better than love. 500, you'll be very healthy. So there is measurable, and since it's all about numbers and frequency, it is measurable.
So what you're trying to say is the emotional aspect also affects health in general.
Of course, we know this by heart, because if you're angry or upset, you may wake up feeling your face looks different, your voice looks different, you get heart palpitations if you're very angry.
Yes.
There's a huge psychological and physical relationship.
Yes.
They're both together, these affect each other very well. So what we're doing is making sure we don't have the emotional aspect, so at least the body can heal itself. And anyway, the World Health Organization said that 80% of all diseases have an emotional component. There's a part of it that has to. So my work is to help people release the emotional component and let the doctors do the real what's left, the physical part.
I think, and your job is today is very essential. Because people are under a lot of pressure, there is a lot of incidents, and like you mentioned, emotions is important, but it can be things that happen to you, it can be things that happen to others that affects your emotions too.
Yes, of course.
So what is the technique? What would you advise people with? What would be the basic things, in order for people to do to release those negative frequencies?
This technique that I'm teaching and I brought into the whole Middle East is called emotional freedom technique. It has been termed the #1 stress release tool on earth. And stress actually encompasses most of those emotions. Because in the end, your body is under stress because of sadness or anger or frustration or whatever.
Or fear, whatever.
Or jealousy, it's a stressor. It's like a stressor on a machine.
Yes.
So if it has been named the #1 stress relief tool, and this is through a lot of studies, including Harvard Medical School. They know what it does in the brain, works on something called the amygdala. Something happens, it starts sending other kinds of signals to the body. So what you're doing is you're bringing the thought or the idea, like you're angry or you're sad or you're fearful, you're thinking about something, and then you're tapping at the same time, and somehow it's as if you went in and rebalanced the energy. You're actually like a physicist or an electrician. You went in and fixed all the cords. It's a rebalancing tool,
So
reset. Computer, it's a
Yeah.
reset button.
In a sense, is it almost like that of the Chinese needles, but in a different way, in a sense?
It's a new way of using the Chinese concept of acupuncture. So we call it acupuncture for the emotions. Number two, it is it's acupuncture without the needles. So
Yeah.
the two revolutions happened. We can now use it for the emotions. They're using a lot of acupuncture for physical issues, the Western way of medicine. Plus the fact that when they found out we can just tap the points, this became easy for me to teach anyone.
Yes.
There's no danger in somebody making a mistake and hitting the wrong point.
Yes.
They just will not get the result as well. But if they hit somewhere around, they will get
But
the
what's
result.
the tool that you're using?
This is the tool we're going to show right now. It's tapping 8 points
Tapping.
on the body. It's called tapping.
Yeah.
And tapping is just gentle. And every time you touch one of these very specific points, it's resetting the system. It's sending a signal in another frequency in the body that straightens out that messy frequency. It's actually rebalancing the energy system in the
Like
body.
computer buttons.
It's like
that you're
computer
like,
buttons. It's
decoding this.
Decoding. It's actually,
nervous
we
system.
say we reprogram and we recode and delete. We also have a delete button. If you tap enough about the issue, you will not feel the issue. Like you're super angry and you start saying, ha, I don't care.
Now, when you
Interesting.
several months ago, when you showed me that technique, actually, you were also telling me to encourage myself and say positive words. Is talking to one's own self and saying positive an important also aspect of it, or we can just tap without talking?
It's better to just tap all the negatives out.
Yes.
Tapping in the positive is after it's cooled down, then you can talk about the positive.
So I should say I'm not angry, or I just
No,
tap?
you should say I'm really angry. I'm so upset. I hate that man. I hate that person. They're awful. You say all the stuff that's already being said in the brain,
Okay.
actually the mind,
Yes.
in the subconscious. So the subconscious is saying all this and it's going like this. It's sending all these
So
signals.
I'm releasing it.
You need to release it by saying it, and that's what you have to do. You have to admit where you're at.
Okay.
Then when you're like a 5, when you can measure like you're okay now, it's okay, then you can say, well, it's okay, maybe I'm okay, maybe it's best for me, whatever. Even if your boss was so bad, he made you leave the job. Of course, you were very angry. Then you start have more clarity. But you cannot be so angry, like you cannot have a fire in the house and start saying it'll be okay. You have to deal with the fire, calm it down to a certain level, then they can come in and do some other work. So
So
let's
sure-
stick with doing the negative.
So your job would be like, teaching people to use this technique, or you would be doing the technique to resolve, certain depression phases or stressful phases.
Both. Actually, this is the only self-help tool on earth, which is also amazing. That's why I started learning it. So my job is to teach people through media, through other ways, how to help themselves in most everyday everything. But if the issue is pretty big, it is recommended you go to someone.
Yes.
So let's say, you had an accident and you killed a human being and you can still remember it. Your best pet died. Your mom died when you were...
Major
I don't
thing.
know. Major, it looks major. You lost all your money in something. And you still, whenever you think about it, you're really sad
upset.
or angry or upset. You need a little bit of help. But for basic everyday, we want people to use it for themselves. So I'm doing this, I'm doing YouTubes, I'm doing videos, and also in different places giving lectures or sessions. And we're also doing group sessions. But at the same time, when you have something a little bit more, and issues other also than just those emotions, because if you have lack of confidence or if you have a phobia, it is actually at the wrong frequency. So when you come to talk to these people and you start being very nervous or stutter or you're angry all the time when you talk to people, you don't have any time before you need to release that. So sometimes they don't come with a specific, like I'm angry at Mr. So-and-so. They're just saying I'm always nervous. I'm very aggressive.
Yes.
I have a phobia from heights. I have a phobia from dogs. All this is just an energetic frequency in the body. And when you think about the dog, something goes crazy in the system.
Yeah.
So you need to calm that system. And what we're doing is teaching the system a new way. We're actually building, science, we're building neural pathways that say it's okay to see a dog.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk. It's a new pathway
Yes.
because there's another pathway that said, so we're cutting that pathway.
All right, since you are evangelizing this and you're doing a lot of YouTubes, we also have our YouTube channel, and we would love to, give you the space for a minute or two where you can explain for people if they have an issue or a stressful moment, how can they treat themselves, like what you mentioned, and we'll give you your time, and maybe we can take this part itself and try to push it also on our media channels.
Yes, this would be
from
very
Nile
helpful.
Cruise.
So what we're telling people, the very simple version, the very, very simple version, and it works. They've used this in really disasters, like in Rwanda, when they killed all the people, in Boston with the problem, in Newtown in the States, in Iraq with real disasters. This is what they do. They do the simplest version, which is just start here and start tapping and say the bad things. So let's say people now are fearful or angry of what happened in the last week, let's say. So you just say all this anger, 8 points. I'm going to start explaining. The first, it starts at the beginning of the eyebrow, and it doesn't matter right or left, and it doesn't matter if I take this hand here or this hand here. It just matters that you get the point. Beginning of the eyebrow is number 1, side of the eye right on the bone, number 2, and you're going to just keep saying all this anger because, and you say whatever it is. Under the eye, anger. Under the nose, anger. Then under the lips, in the dent, on what we call the collarbone right here, or you can just do this. Under the arms, anger, and over the head, anger. Now there are 8 points. If you forget one, it's not a big deal. You'll get it the next, because you're going to do 5, 6. And every 4 or 5, 6, you take a deep breath, you take some water, and you think about the issue. Like, I'm really, really angry at what happened, and you'll start feeling not as much. And the way you can feel it, you should rate. So in the beginning, you say 0 to 10, how much am I angry? 10, I'm totally going crazy, 0, nothing. And let's say it was a 7. You would start seeing it going to 5 to 4. Now it may go up, and that's okay too. So it could have started 7, and now I'm like more angry. It's okay, because what happened is it's starting to get really close to what the issue is, and it may not be anger. It might be really underlying it. There's such fear for your kids that might be in the street. So the mind like said, okay, I'm really scared, and that's why it raised it to 7. But continue tapping with what's new, like all this fear now, all this fear, all this fear. And this is the best way, like follow the thought patterns until you will feel like, it's okay, it is what it is. I'm still fine, I'm here, my kids are fine. When you get there, you're done.
You look at the positive aspects.
You're gotten there because the mind will have clarity.
Yes.
You've rebalanced its
And the waves are more stable.
You rebalance the energy flow, because we have, let me say this, we have lines of what we call meridians. They're lines of energy flow, and if we are in any kind of stress, they are blocked. Now they're not 100% blocked, but let's say there's sand in the pipes, sand in the pipes, sand in the pipes. If you have tons of sand in the pipe, like you stay for years stressed, then you start getting sick. You get autoimmune, you get more colds, your immunity starts going down, because the energy flow is part of your system. You're hurting the system.
Doctor, you've mentioned that you do group therapy and individual therapy. Now, which is more effective?
Everything is for a reason. Group, of course, is very effective because you can do hundreds, and that's what they did in Rwanda. Help a lot of people, and there's a lot of common issues. So if I take 100 and we're just doing anger, and everybody's tapping their anger on whatever, at the student, at the teacher, at the parent, at the the boss, at the country, at the street. It's okay. Everyone, I let them think of what they want. So that's really good for doing a lot of mass work. And this is also important about EFT. A lot of the tools right now we have, they're not able to do it in mass. To actually do release, they need one-on-one. But of course, if you have your own issue, your own specific issue, like your mom died while you did the accident, something big like that, whatever it is, it's better to go do it one-on-one. This is not something we would deal on a group basis.
Yes.
So we need both.
Yes. Also, in addition to that, I'm interested in the challenges. Were there a certain case that was quite challenging for you dealing with it? Like it was hard, you had to really exert a lot of effort to get all the negative energy out of that individual.
Of course, there are people they come and they put on the table so many stories. There are people on earth that really had a tough life. You have to admit that. Everything they're hitting in their life is a mess. It's true, from youth. But because of the tool, I keep remembering what my teacher says. Just if you know the tool, just use it. So if you're a really good electrician, no matter how messy the house is, you really know your skill, then the tool will work. So she's always reminding us, it always rings in my head, you're very well trained, you know what to do, just start working. And the tool is the same. So we're very well trained, we just start one by one clearing. It's like going in a house and there's 30 boxes. So one by one carrying. Instead, maybe they're not going to finish in 3 or 5 sessions. Our work goes very fast. We're not like psychiatry. We don't take 10 years or 8 years or even 6 months to do work. But if they're telling me a lot and putting a lot on the table, like relationship issues, money issues, health issues, I don't know what issues, confidence issues, and they're like talking, I'm writing them all down, and we start one at a time, and we start clearing and clearing. And they're all interrelated, by the way. They're all interrelated.
Now, does it only need to get the energy out, or sometimes you help them with solutions? Because sometimes it's not just releasing the energy, but sometimes you're in a state where you are in a the corner, you're cornered, and you need to find a solution for whatever situation you're in.
What's interesting, we don't call ourselves coaches. We're not coaching. We're not going to give you a solution. But each and every one of us is created with everything, with all the knowledge. But it's in the subconscious. We are actually also connected to all knowledge. We're connected to a human intellect. Once you clear the messy TV static, we actually explain EFT, this unbalance as like a TV static. Once you clear all that, they are clear on what to do. They say, oh, I'm going to do this. It gets clear because you've removed all the boxes. And then suddenly you see the room and you see what you need to do with it. So we don't sit and coach people. We do as little talk. We're not therapists, we're not counselors, we're not coaches. We are practitioners of a tool. I'm teaching people in Egypt because one person can't handle the 90 million, of course, and now it's 100 million. When I started, it was 90 million. No way, so now I'm teaching since 2014. We need to have trained, well-trained, accredited, whatever people, and I am accredited by a very high institute to accredit people. So if I say sign their certificate, they can be accredited. Because we need a lot of people who can work with them. Because we can use it in schools, and we could actually change the economy of this country. Because you can help. It works positive, by the way.
It lifts the morale, it helps people.
Yes. But also on top of that, it does the other stuff. We have a part removing, there's 3 things it does. The removing the negative energies or negative emotions. Number 2, it has a huge impact on physical issues. So it will decrease the health bill. Number 3, lots of countries are using this, including UK, NHS. They're using this to decrease their health bill. Number 3, it does what we call optimal performance. So if you're a swimmer, you're a tennis player, if you're a student, if you're
focused.
a speaker, we will let the mind, because we remove the fears. Like, why is he scared that he won't make it as the number 1? Or the team, we have a problem with teams. They're already playing with another team thinking they're going to lose. You've got to get them aligned with, we're going to win. And you do this by removing the fears. And to tell you the truth, the UK football team have their own EFTers. They're all over the world now. There's a lot of swimmers who have their own EFTers, their own coach. This is something that we still want to introduce in Egypt.
Quite interesting. Miret, would like to thank you very much for joining us on this amazing technique and insights that you gave us today. It's very new and exceptional. So thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me and helping me spread this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miret, Mrs. Miret Soukari, EFT coach and expert as well. Thank you very much. And now we will be showing our own cruise online, which tells us what's trending online.